Last public hearing item. Is variance from section 475.13 driveways and section 490 resource and natural feature protection development restrictions. That's a long title. Wyatt Radke, I hope I said your last name right. That's all I know how to say it. So, requested variance from the driveway standards to increase the maximum allowable driveway grade from 10% to 13%, and increase the restriction of percentage of steep slopes that may be disturbed. Affected properties are labeled as RPR RMNB 001000 and RPR RMNB 000902. Currently unaddressed. Okay, Wyatt. Timer. You got it?
6.
Yeah, 6 minutes. Yeah.
Good evening, Wyatt Radke with A&E Engineering, 845 West Center Street. And we also have Crystal Chanda, also with A&E, and we're representing Carly and Chris was not able to stick around, but Carly and Chris Thompson. And they are currently under contract to purchase the parcels that Stuart mentioned, which are Lot 10 and a portion of Lot 9 of the Mountain Vista subdivision, which was completed in 1979, and it's located just off the end of Timberline Road, which is off Buckskin. And the purpose of this variance application is simply to provide assurance for the Thompsons that the subject property is capable of being developed on within the current county ordinances before they go through with purchasing the property. And the application is divided into 2 parts. The first part being to increase the restriction on the amount of steep slopes that can be disturbed during development on the property. The Bannock County Ordinance 490A requires that no more than 20% of the slopes between 15 and 30% be disturbed, and that no more than 5% of the slopes that are greater than 30% be disturbed. The 12.5 acre property does have direct access from Timberline Road from the west, and in that area there are shallow slopes but very dense forestation. Did council receive some of the sketches we put together? Yeah. And you can
we have all those, yeah.
Okay, you can see in the aerial kind of that dense vegetation, and that whole area is flatter, but it is very dense forestation. And according to the original subdivision plat, there is a drainage and access easement that generally runs through that area from north to south. It doesn't provide enough information to pinpoint exactly where it is. But from inspection, you can see that the area does appear to be an active drainage way and would be completely unsuitable for development due to deforestation and the drainage patterns that are there. The remainder of the property is heavily sloped upwards between 20 and 45% up towards the eastern boundary, where it then begins to flatten out, making that boundary or that eastern area the only feasible location to be developed on. It would require a driveway from Timberline Road across those steep slope areas in order to access. This map here, this one is shaded in red and yellow. So we did a topographic survey of all the steep slopes on the property, and we put what would be a realistic example of a 20-foot wide driveway alignment from Timberline Road to the eastern boundary beyond the extents of the steep slopes. The areas that are shaded in yellow represent all the slopes between 15 and 30%, and the areas in red represent everything greater than 30. So with this example, the preliminary driveway, not including any retaining walls, cut slopes, fill slopes, would disturb 8.5% of those slopes that are between 15 and 30, and nearly 15% of the slopes greater than 30%, which greatly exceeds the county ordinance. And while there are certainly alternative driveway alignments that could be used to access the developable area, this is simply to demonstrate how severely unfeasible it would be to reach this area within the county ordinance. and we wouldn't expect reworking the alignment to improve that situation. The application doesn't state the exact amount of increase that we're requesting. However, we did upload that after the staff report was generated. And we're specifically requesting that both slope restriction ranges be increased to a maximum disturbance of 40% in order to encompass the driveway example shown, as well as a cut and fill slope of 10 feet on each side, and an additional factor safety to account for variability in the design driveway alignment. So this information demonstrates the undue hardship that is caused by the physical characteristics of the site, and that there's no reasonable alternative to be able to develop without approval of this variance. And the request will allow for efficient use of the land as it was intended, and efforts will be taken in the engineering, including erosion and sediment control, slope stabilization, and stormwater design to ensure safety and to ensure that all improvements in stormwater were within the property and have no negative effect on neighboring properties or the public. The second part of the variance request is to increase the allowable driveway grade from 10% to 13% in order to reduce the overall length of the driveway, which will then reduce the overall disturbance of the hillside. And after discussion with staff, we do understand that this ordinance is controlled mostly by the fire district, and that approval from the fire chief is strongly recommended prior to granting that request. So the fire district has looked into the property and is potentially willing to allow for an increase in the maximum driveway slope in exchange for other factors that may reduce the hazard that the increased slope presents. However, because the Thompsons are not currently the owners of the property and haven't begun any preliminary engineering for the driveway, we've decided that it's most appropriate to remove that request from this application until engineering can determine how much of a slope increase would be needed, if at all, and what exchanges with the fire district would be appropriate. That's all I have, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Will you state your last important time? Will you restate your last statement about the slope of the road?
So the initial application, we were requesting an increase from 10% to 13%,
Right.
which staff has suggested we need to get approval from the district to do that. But since we talked with the fire district, they basically would want to say, okay, you can increase the slope if you do something like, for example, we talked about a sprinkler in the house. And there's other options we discussed, but we don't want to agree until we're in the engineering phase and we can really see what we need to ask for and what might be economical and safe to an exchange of that. So we don't, to be clear, we want to remove that request.
Just remove that completely.
That portion, yes.
And so you're just looking at the percentage of disturbance at this point, not the slope of the road. Okay. So if you go through this and the fire district says it does need to be increased, then you would have to come back for that, and
we
guys are
understand
okay with that. Okay.
Yes. It's mostly, we don't want to request a specific number and then come back when we're in the engineering phase in which we have done something different.
That makes sense. Okay. Okay. I think you guys have any questions? Your color-coded map is super helpful, so I appreciate that.
I did
Very
have
clear.
a couple of comments on staff's conditions. Would I address those now or later?
No, you can address them now, yeah.
Okay. So number 2, retaining walls shall be designed and certified by a professional engineer with heights minimized where feasible. I just wanted to clarify because I believe the current code, I can't remember if it's 3 feet or 4 feet, but it's under that. It doesn't need to be engineered. I just wanted to clarify even if it's a 2.5 foot retaining wall, if that would need to be engineered, if that's what they're getting after, if it's still, if it exceeds that minimum.
Good question.
Mr. Radke, building code requires retaining walls to be engineered 4 feet or greater, but that's the building code relative to buildings. Relative to road development, Kyle, do you know if there's anything in the development standards?
I think it's just done the same as that. We don't have anything beyond that.
Okay. At your discretion? Okay.
If needed, they need to be engineered,
Okay.
because
And then just obviously, number 5 would no longer apply, since we're removing that portion of the request.
right, okay. Okay, any questions for that one? I don't have
No.
any.
When I first did this, I was a little confused about where the house placement, but I don't think we're at that stage. Like
I think
why
that's
all of
on-
this?
And if
On one of the other ones, it basically says like, you know, it's right up in here.
Yeah.
So
And
you're
you-
trying to get up there.
you can
Oh,
really
you
see it
kind of
well.
see it right there.
Sample driveway?
if you look at the aerial, you can see where it really starts. I mean, right here, you're completely flat, and it you know, anywhere along these eastern boundaries where it really flattens out.
Yeah, so
Oh,
it's,
that's not sure, that's not best.
yeah.
Sure. And is there property behind it before the BLM?
No, it directly lets me alone.
Okay, the little tiny triangle piece that doesn't.
That is not BLM.
Okay.
This piece is, or this piece is.
Is this personal, somebody else owns this one?
That one looks like it's probably part of the original subdivision. That little triangle piece on the
They are-
southeast.
They are part of the original subdivision, but they were split out. I guess if you don't remember that division, can't remember. It was quite a while ago that they were split out.
Okay.
That would be the remaining portion of the long time. That triangle piece.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I don't think it's necessarily related, I just wanted to get a understanding of what was being asked. With the weird piece, tiny piece.
Okay. No other questions from you? Okay, thank you. All right, staff.
Annie Hughes, Bannock County zoning planner. Do you guys have any questions regarding the staff report?
No, I don't have any. It's not specific to something in the staff report, but I do want to hear from maybe staff and or Kyle on just overall thoughts of the request. Like, is there any major concerns? I know we're not talking driveway anymore, but if we approve the disturbance, max disturbance, then it becomes a driveway concern as well, right?
But
So,
Kyle Brimster, Public Works, but it's still with one residence is to a driveway to where it's, as was stated, it's only gonna be the fire department that would have any concerns with the steepness of it.
because down at the connection, they gotta build county standard,
Yeah,
no matter
yeah.
what, whether it's 10% or
Yes.
35%, so. Which I hope your driveway's not 35%, but. Okay. Yeah. Okay, no questions? No? Okay. Public comments, do we have anybody signed up?
Right here. How do I submit this to Mr.
Just
Chairman?
hand it to me, yeah. And then I'll get it to staff. Okay, okay, we'll start with, Carly in support.
Hello, my name is Carly Thompson. Our address is 1405 Juniper Drive, Hotel Idaho 83204. My husband and I recently moved to the area, and we're under contract on this property because we're just excited about building a home there. It will be just for our family, and we are for being able to build a driveway to the only feasible home site that we've talked to. engineers and other people, and this seems like a reasonable place that we can build a home on the property. So I hope we'll be able to build a driveway that works for our family on this end, so. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, nobody neutral, opposed, Comcast meetings.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Tom Cassidy. Before I start, I need to have some preliminary questions answered. I wasn't able to submit written comments prior to the deadline. We're still awaiting some of the public records request responses, and as I did not know tonight, the application has changed since it was originally submitted. So I've got written comments prepared, and I'm wondering how you want me to handle those. I have enough copies for the entire council and staff.
Can you hand them to us and then we just submit them as part of the record afterwards? Yeah.
Okay. I'll have the original for, I guess, your planning directors that it goes to.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Here you go now. The letter is 2 pages, and I'm going to hand these out now to Councilman Dillon. Mr. Chair. Staff. Anyone else? I don't know if I'm able to reserve time. I know that it's limited, so maybe I will give you a few moments to read through written comments before I make my statement.
question, I don't know.
That's what I've seen before.
Yeah, so according to your bylaws, if a written request has been submitted, then the talking points have to be specifically in regards to the letter.
Thank you. Where you guys are.
Towards them reading the letter, because he's taking all this time, he should have submitted it before.
Okay, you got the timer ready?
Yep.
Okay.
Another point of clarification, will the minutes, or excuse me, will the written comments be accepted into the record and have that clarified before I speak?
I think so.
Yes,
right?
they are accepted into the record, but your written, or your talking points are only the letter
Okay,
as outlined by bylaws.
okay. All right, thank you very much.
Yeah, your time is going.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Chair, council members, as you can see in the written comments, there are several concerns with this
Name
application.
and address real quick, sorry.
Yes, oh, yes. Thomas J. Castellanese representing various owners, claimants, and lessees of properties that are adjacent, contiguous, and or nearby to parcels that are the subject of the above referenced application. Okay. Address, P.O. Box 777, Boise, Idaho, 83701.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I will continue. There are several concerns. Number one being, as Mr. Radke testified, the triangle parcels were split off by a record of survey prepared by his firm several years ago in connection with the sale of Mr. Charles Johnson in his capacity as owner or the plan administrator for the ownership of those lots. There was a record of survey on file with Bannock County, and as a result of that split, we contend that there is, at a minimum, an easement by implication, or in the alternative, easement by necessity, and that follows an Idaho Supreme Court case, McCaskill versus Ebert, that's a 739 P2D 414, 112, Idaho Reporter 115, it's a 1997 case. Primarily, we are concerned with, number one, in the written comments, we solicited some of the design criteria for driveways from the North Bannock Fire District. We got a response October 5th. That is attached as Exhibit A, and in it, you will see that according to the fire chief for the North Bannock Fire District, there's a limitation imposed by the International Fire Code, which has been adopted by the district and by Bannock County for 10% grade and 20 feet wide. Okay, based on the topographic information that was submitted by A&E Engineering for this application, there's an elevation change from the public road cul-de-sac to the desired area for the house that yields, as testified by Mr. Radke, over 35%. Very difficult, even with the two lots, to get a road in that space. Next, the undue hardship. There is no undue hardship. There can be a mitigation factor. Okay. I'll stand for questions.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
Are you basically implying that this road would be considered an access road to the triangle parcels? Is that the?
It potentially could be. And we offered to discuss that with the applicant. I'm not clear as the applicant, or the Thompsons, or the current owners, and that is a little bit of a problem. So there are a couple of alternatives that can be explored. We did not receive a response to discuss that, and we think those, at least one, is very viable, and we'd like to continue that. And based on the application that is so far, we believe it's premature. We don't have any design criteria that you folks can intelligently make a decision on, or for the public to make a comment on. So,
That helps me understand the concern. Thank you.
yeah.
So the two triangle pieces back there, are not owned by the lot to the southwest? I guess?
No, they have separate assessor parcel numbers on them. They used to end in 900 and 1,000 for lots 9 and 10. And I believe the current designation for assessor's parcel number used to be the majority of lot 9 is 902. And I believe the small triangle is 901. You'll see to the southwest of that triangle, another triangle that was split off of lot 8. And I believe that's the same numerical designator, 802 and 801. So.
But it, and I understand they're different.
Stuart, I think because we've got the public testimony, the 3 minutes done, if you have questions, you can probably ask staff those questions.
I'm sorry.
Well,
He's asking
what I was getting at is has to do with the implied easements. Because if those are owned by the joiner to the west, southwest, then I would argue there's no implied easement because they already have access through their own property. That's where I was getting at. So that's why I asked
No,
if it was a common ownership with one of the other adjoiners.
No, it is not.
Okay.
It is a separate ownership for the parts that were carved off of lot 9, lot 8, and lot 7.
Okay.
And that is a separate owner that I think is readily available through the parcel viewer.
Okay.
And they do not adjoin or have any type of ownership or co-ownership with any of the other adjacent properties.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. I don't think I have any other questions for him. No? Okay. Thank you.
You got it.
Can you click on those and tell me who owns those? Who owns no, those triangle pieces? Those two down there, yeah.
Era LLC.
Okay.
Can you see who owns adjacent property, please?
This one?
No, to the south and to the east. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Anything else right now before I bring up the applicant again?
I just have a question for staff.
You wanna hear rebuttal first, or do you wanna?
Whatever order you want to put the, the legal stuff, would that work in an appeal process? Some above our ability, so just wondering what staff's take on that is, and if that would defer to the appeal process, or if needed.
Good question, yeah. Let's have, Abby come and rebut, and then we can ask that. Okay. Wyatt, do you wanna rebut anything?
Crystal Chanda, P.O. Box 1327, Pocatello, Idaho.
This is 3 or 6 minutes.
Rebuttal is.
Not time.
There's not time for rebuttal.
So I would just like to point out the triangular pieces are agricultural, so there wouldn't be any building on those or any need for a driveway to those houses. I'd also like to point out that while we're asking to increase the area that is disturbed, we're not paving that entire area. So besides the driveway and the structures to support the driveway, the rest will be put back to natural ground. And then, so there'll be nothing else disturbed that way. And then I'd also like to point out that everything that we've gone through, I know he said, I can't remember what he just said now, but there's no deeds recorded that show an easement going to these properties. We did our due diligence in that, so I just wanted to make sure we do that. And I would like to point out that I don't see how any of the concerns that were listed have to do with them building a private road on their own property. You can see that it's shown right in the middle of the property and probably wouldn't even be very visible from neighboring properties, so I just wanted to point that out.
Okay, thank you.
Implied easement.
Okay. Do you want to ask your question?
Yeah, question for staff. Page 2 of the written submitted comments, cite a request for mediation between the applicant and clients. And I was just hoping you could speak to that, if that would be part of an appeal process after we do what we do, or we need to address that.
Tristan Borquin, Assistant Planning Director, I would say that you would just move through your findings as normal as you do with every other variance request. That section of Idaho Code is talking about mediation requests. You don't have to adhere to a mediation request, you can move through findings as normal.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I want to bring up some testimony that was recently added by Ms. Janda. It's incorrect as a
He's
matter
not
of law.
allowed to do that.
It's incorrect
He's
as a
not
matter
allowed
of
to
law,
do that.
and Annie Hughes can speak to it.
Okay. You guys ready?
I guess another thing to consider in the written comments, the primary concern was the maximum grade, but that has been removed from the application as of tonight, so just another thing to keep in mind.
Yeah, so it's just basically for the disturbance, right? I don't think we have very much information as far as what's proposed for the disturbance.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, he said that based on, I think based on this color-coded map, the max disturbance would be 40%.
And that's a rough drawing, right? That's just an idea. There's really there's no specs in there about it. But, correct.
It was done to code.
Well, it just shows that it's impossible to reach that eastern boundary without exceeding the restrictions. So that's showing.
I understand that, but it's just, I don't feel like we have a lot of information. I understand the need of it because of the lay of the land, and there's lots of that around here. There's deep driveways and all sorts of stuff.
So are you saying not enough information as far as how we got to 40%?
It's just the plan, kind of,
If you're looking for
Or
like
design.
the engineered design.
kind of a design of a plan. Hey, can we do this? And I know it's a lot of work and a lot of hate to do that, but, I just feel like a design, say, this is what we are surveying, this has been engineered. We have this from the fire department that says that they are good with this, or they require these things, and then come to
Since we took out the
us.
slope, the fire department won't have anything to do with this. Just the
Well,
disturbance is all we're looking at.
And I understand your concern,
mhm.
but I think the idea is because the applicant or potential owner, they don't own the
Yeah,
property,
right.
right? So they're trying to get this,
To see
before
if
they
this can
spend a ton
happen
of
before
money.
they commit to the property.
Yeah, because to engineer that, whether it's at 10% or 15% is a big undertaking.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
So I
Thank you.
can appreciate the applicant and their client wanting to go through this before they spend a bunch of money. And if we tell them it's a max of 30% or 35%, they have to design it to that,
As far as
that
the
percentage.
disturbance.
As far as the disturbance, which, based on that, based on the disturbance percentage, will affect the slope of the road,
Absolutely.
And
right?
then if that turns out to be greater than 10, they would come
They
back.
would come
Or
back.
greater than 13, or greater than,
Another-
Well, right now,
10% slope.
right now, they're held to 10% on the
yeah,
roadway.
yeah, yeah.
So
right.
if their design comes in at even 11%, they have to come in and go through. At that point, they will have more detailed design and specs and everything on
I
it.
get that, yeah, they're trying to see, hey, can we move the dirt, basically?
I think this would clarify that that's shown
Mm-hmm.
is 10% and under meets the width and all of the curves.
So kind of this preliminary
So-
S-curve.
Yeah.
That example roadway, the
Yeah.
alignment of that is 10% and as close as reasonably possible follows the grade. That's how we came up with that example. So it'd be,
Yeah, that does clarify, thank you.
But
Okay.
triggers the disturbance
Yeah.
increase.
Yeah.
yes.
That is helpful, thank you.
Yeah, okay, yeah, thank you. Because if they go steeper, then their disturbance goes down.
Yeah, yeah, I get that, yeah. So it's approximate, close as possible with this kind of, I mean, it's great, it's very helpful, but kind of a rough drawing, we don't know the exact slope, but close to 10%. Correct. Yeah.
And that's where, I think that's where they got the 40% max disturbance
Yeah.
number from.
Is
Is
by
this.
doing the road that way, it keeps it pretty close to the 10%.
Right.
Yeah, okay. All right, so that helps.
But if that changes, it would be an agenda item in the future.
Right. So, okay. Gonna work through findings. You wanna discuss it a little more?
I'm good.
Any more clarifying questions? You good?
I guess just since we kind of have to parse out half of the application, if staff could kind of help summarize if there are major concerns about just the disturbance piece from the staff report, please.
We can assist you with that.
As we go through findings? Did you want clarification now?
Whatever's easiest, but.
Okay. I don't know if it's easy either way. I agree.
But I mean, did staff have any major concerns with the disturbance piece? I guess it would be helpful to hear that now.
Tristan Borkwin, Assistant Planning Director. I don't think there were any other concerns other than everything that's already in the staff report. I would make one suggestion that if this is to be approved, since the slope portion of the variance request doesn't have a percentage requested through the request itself, to have a condition in place that what the max percentage allowed would be.
So in this case, we would need to say 10.
Well, the 40% disturbed.
Oh, sorry.
For- yeah.
On the, you're talking
On,
about disturbance?
yes, on the
Okay.
disturbance.
Yeah, okay.
And Stuart, you understand the numbers game that is being played. So we'll rely on you to steer the council on that is a heavy load. I understand. We will assist as needed if we can.
Okay. Okay. You guys wanna work through them now?
I'm ready.
Okay. Okay, so we are talking just disturbance. area.
Disturbance, yeah.
Okay. Okay, number one, the applicant has shown there is or is not a reasonable alternative. And I would say,
They haven't shown me, they haven't shown. But it's too big,
say that again?
like it's too big, we're just talking disturbance.
There is no
Well,
alternative.
based on this.
Is not reasonable, it's the lay, it's away the land that,
To get the, because the code for disturbance was like 20%, is it?
20% of slopes between 15 and 30%, 30%, third slopes that are 30% or greater, 5% can be disturbed.
So that's what the code is currently.
5%.
30 plus is 5%, and 15 to
30
30 is 20%.
And then it's like 40.
Total 40. Yeah. But based on this sketch, even at a approximate 10% slope, they can't meet that, because of the topography. That's what they're saying. Does that make sense?
Because of all the cut and fill that would be required,
Right.
a lot of disturbance.
Yeah, because
to try to get to the 10% slope.
7 switchbacks is a lot of dirt to move. So having it shown there is not a reasonable alternative, this is based on topography. The existing drainage easement.
Yeah, which I don't think we really talked about much.
The existing drainage easement.
Yeah, which I don't think we really talked about much, but I just am seeing that in the staff report.
Yeah, and Wyatt mentioned it,
Oh,
that it's on the original plat.
Yeah, I talked about it, this up here could be more, it's not an active drainage right now, but at some point,
It is an active drain.
it is that, like winter runoff probably.
Yeah, it's like walking through marsh, basically. I mean, it's not designated as wetlands, but it's clearly a drainage area.
so if we could add that to help support the more reasonable alternative.
So based on the topography, shape of the platted lots, and the existing drainage easement on the, let's say the west end of the lots. Does that make sense? Is that good? Okay.
Stuart, I have, this is based on the topography and the shape of the platted lots. The existing drainage easement limits the developable areas.
That's better than what I wrote down. Yeah. That's good. Okay, number 2, the variance is or is not in conflict with public interest.
Yes, based on, it is a conflict based on the report. Right? Since we now have opposition.
Did the opposition comment on the disturbance for the slope?
You know, basically about cutting a road for fire access, but I think it is not a conflict of public interest. The two, it's run right in the center of the 2 lots.
Thoughts?
Just go along with this.
I mean, is any of it related to the disturbance specifically, since the application changed? Cause I'm only seeing slope related.
Slope of the driveway, right?
So do we have applicable testimony against the disturbance? I don't remember hearing it.
There is a lot say is not.
I think that it's not, the disturbance will be in the middle of the two lots, will be owned by a single owner. It's not hurting any of the adjoining properties or lots. We're not talking about road, we're talking about moving dirt right now, so.
Right,
Yeah.
but because they've got to disturb to build the road, they may have some disturbance against the lot lines. Right, but,
Maybe we could do the like setback in the conditions, or require,
no disturbance within the median of the property line or something
or
like that.
require stormwater BMPs for construction, that could probably be mitigated.
Remember, we're just moving dirt, so the stormwater retention, everything, that would be associated to a road or a driveway. So it's just the percentage of dirt we're moving, that's what we're talking about, right?
Yeah, but I think what Molly's talking about is like erosion, as the dirt's being moved, the erosion control.
Yeah, okay, onto subsequent plots or
Yeah,
plats that are next
and making
door.
sure that,
The runoff. From
is-
moving the dirt is not coming off, we get a big flash flood and the
Right.
wash out the
Yeah.
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 Then does this zone have a defined driveway setback that we can cite, or that's already quantified?
I don't think there's a
There
setback.
are no
at all.
driveway setbacks.
Okay, thank you.
However, there are already conditions in the staff report talking about having your stormwater and erosion control plan designed by a licensed engineer. There's also all disturbed areas shall be stabilized immediately upon completion of grading. So I think those concerns are being addressed within the conditions in the staff report.
Thank you.
Okay. So number 2 is not in conflict with the public interest. And what were you saying, Jen? Based on-
The proposed, land or dirt, whatever you wanna call it, to be moved is predominantly centered in the two lots that are owned by one owner.
Disturbance.
You know, we could go to the stormwater, like you said, that's in
Conditions.
the, yeah.
Also, council, if you look at the last portion of the first paragraph in E of the staff report, it does say that design and construction will meet applicable safety and engineering standards, including proper drainage, erosion control, and fire safe access. The variance will not impact adjacent properties, public infrastructure, or natural drainage patterns, including the existing drainage easement on the western portion of the parcel. So when you're looking at public interest, it's not necessarily just public testimony, it's public interest as a whole, including infrastructure, setbacks, those types of things.
Sure.
So the disturbances contained within the lots and, erosion, construction, design and construction, and erosion control will follow, industry best management practices or something like that.
Staff's
It's like
conditions.
per the conditions.
Yeah, as per the conditions.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think they would have to do that
Yeah.
regardless of,
Yeah.
so.
Stuart, what did you say? You said design, construction, and erosion control will follow,
Will follow industry best management practices.
Okay, so I have, this is based on the disturbance will be contained in the middle of the two lots which is owned by one property owner. The design, construction, and erosion control will follow industry best management practices.
As per conditions.
Oh, as per conditions.
Noted in staff report. Please.
Okay. Number three, the variance will or will not adversely affect adjacent property. I think
That's
that's
almost like number two, it's almost the same thing. Adjacent property would be public interest for the most part.
Yeah, and it's almost a copy and paste of number two, right?
That's what I think, as long as the conditions and the sediment control are managed as per conditions, that it's not gonna affect the adjacent property.
Right. Did you get that, Marge?
I'm just copying them, answer number two.
I think so. You good with that? You good? Following along? Speak up if you don't agree. Oh, the slope versus the disturbance. Yeah. They do go hand in hand. But it's hard when we're not looking at the slopes necessarily, so. Okay, number four, if the variance is not granted, the applicant will or will not suffer undue hardship caused by the physical characteristics of the site.
There's really not.
And that's what we have to decide.
I would say that the color-coded exhibit is a good, piece of evidence for undue hardship on the, well, sorry, I'm thinking grade. I
Showing
need to
the-
not be thinking grade. Never mind.
But just showing the slopes.
And like how much
of-
dirt,
How much of the lots are covered in those slopes?
yeah.
It does help. Cause the drainage easement is down on the bottom in one of the flat areas, right?
Sorry, I had grade in my mind on that one.
Yeah.
Separate the two, right, it's
Yeah.
hard. So never mind on what I said, but if you have a thought,
Just to the top of the land, it's almost impossible without getting to a buildable spot.
It is impossible. Yeah, because down here on their color-coded map, that shows an area that is somewhat flat. We have the drainage easement, which, I mean, it could be 50 feet wide, it could be 100 feet wide.
How long they run into setback requirements for buildings and all that stuff, right, you could even get there, so. I think it's the lay of the land.
So, which would make it almost a copy of number one, right? Will you read number one back to us, Marge?
Okay. Okay, the applicant has shown there is not a reasonable alternative. This is based on the topography and the shape of the platted lots. The existing drainage easement limits the developable areas.
I think it's almost a copy.
Copy number one and then just expand greater than 15%.
Yeah, 70%. At least the access is a pretty good section up here, you know, it's just this.
Well, yeah, and I'm just talking the colored area.
Yeah,
It covers
or
probably.
the disturbance. Yeah, it's probably 80%.
You know, 70-80%
80%.
of the property.
And the topo map right there helps show that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, roughly 80% for lots, or about 15% grade.
Did you catch that, Marge? Are
No,
we talking too slow, or too quiet over here?
what are you adding?
We were gonna copy one on there.
Okay,
And then adding the approximately, what did we say?
80%.
80% of the property is steeper than 15% slope.
15%. Okay.
Okay. And then conditions. Back to those. So there's 5 recommended conditions, but because we're not talking grade of the road or the driveway, number 5 can come off. But I do think we need to add another number 5 that talks about the max disturbance percentage. So,
And we could even reiterate as another additional one, the slope maximum, just to be super clear that if that needs to increase, you need to come back.
I think they're gonna have to.
Well, I mean, just to make the record clear.
So even,
because the original application talked
Yeah.
both of them, and we're only talking one now,
Just to
that's
be
why.
super clear.
thought of the motion, we just strike this sentence, this sample motion, get rid of the 10 to 13%. So just get rid of that whole sentence and increase the restriction of the amount of steep slopes not to exceed X amount of percentage on the properties.
That's a good idea. That would be helpful.
You wanna put it in the original motion or put it as a condition?
However we need to do it, whether we just read the motion out and skip that sentence, you know
That'd
what I
probably
mean?
be the clearest.
And if we want to pick a percentage of just, over the, what's the maximum, of those, like 20% was it, or 5%? 5%
Well,
if it's over.
It's 5% if it's over 30%,
30%.
and between 15 and 30, it's 20%.
So is that the kind of numbers that Hal's talking about? We need to talk about that as far as percentage of disturbance. So we're gonna, if we're gonna do the variance for moving dirt to exceed what the current ordinance is there a limit? I guess that's my,
Oh, is there,
So the recommended, real quickly, the recommended conditions are not applicable in this instance. You need to come up with a new condition that states, the variance, the design engineers will be required to show mathematically they have not disturbed greater than 40% or something to that effect. The potential for, you're allowing them to disturb up to 40% of the slopes. I'm searching for language to help you.
yeah.
But those five conditions don't apply in this particular instance. Those are more specific to actual construction of the road. You're giving them a variance and allowing them to come back to us and prove to us that they have not disturbed greater than 40% of the slope. Does that make sense?
Yes.
At which point,
So you're, sorry,
At
you're
which
saying
point
one
they're
through
granted
five is complete, like, none of them apply because we're only talking disturbance, we're not talking driveway slope.
that is correct,
Okay.
because the applicant or the potential property owner is looking for direction on whether or not this is financially feasible for them.
Right.
If you grant them a variance for slope disturbance, then they have a greater sense of confidence that they can expend the finances to go have a road design, and to have Mr. Radke and company come back to us with a road design that is within 10% or less for point A to point B.
Wouldn't we still need that condition, like number 3, applicant shall submit and implement a stormwater erosion control plan prepared by a licensed engineer and approved by the county engineer
That,
prior to any land disturbance?
as a component, that is a component of actually constructing the road, so they'll be coming back to us relative to their application. You could choose to put that in there, Molly.
Because it says any land disturbance, so I kinda like it.
Well, and with their, any of their construction, house and driveway, they would have to submit that. But if you wanna add it, I'm okay adding it.
Yeah, I like it,
Yeah,
because it's not specific to a driveway,
Keep that condition in there.
it's specific to the disturbance, is what.
Yeah.
is what it-
it's like, it's applicable.
Okay.
And maybe even number 4 also. Disturbed slope shall be contoured to blend with natural topography. That could be disturbance or
I think
a
it'll come more,
foundation or.
it'll come more into the road though, cause once the road's cut in, then what's not road is gonna be disturbed, needs to be blended in. But once there's this, if and when there is a driveway that's made, then that establishes that area, right? But there's surrounding areas that need to be graded back and taken
Okay.
care of, that has been disturbed prior. I guess they would do the same thing, sure. No.
Okay. So, one condition for sure, and maybe, the applicant asks for a maximum of 40% disturbance of the steep areas, right? So, I guess, 2 things. One, we either need to agree to the 40% or come up with a different number, right?
It's not to exceed 40%.
I'm assuming Mr. Radke, in his calculations, gave himself a
factor of safety.
factor of safety.
Yes.
And at this point, at that point, I would then place a restriction on Mr. Radke that he will not exceed 40% based upon what he's presented.
Right.
Put the burden back on him and the fact that he's done his due diligence to get to this point. If he needs to come back and modify that based on the fact that he can't get there, then he'll have to come back.
Right. You guys good with that? That 40%?
Mr. Radke is in a numbers game. He has point A to point B. He has X amount of slope. Depending on how he gets to 10%, requires that he either increase or decrease the length of the road based upon the slope that he's dealing with.
Right.
And he has gone through the measurement to figure out that to get himself to 10%, he's going to need approximately this amount of disturbance based upon the disturbance allowed in the ordinance. So
Right.
that's the numbers game that he's playing, so I would say that you should restrict him to 40% based upon the fact that That's his ask.
So whether we put that in a condition or we put it in a motion.
Put it in a condition.
I think a condition would be best. In the motion, you would just.
Just get rid of that
strike
sentence, increase the restriction of amount of steep slopes that may be disturbed. And then you go
And then
down to
condition.
conditions, and it will
Specify
yeah,
that
specify
percentage down there. Yep. Yep.
So which conditions are we leaving?
We're still working on that.
Yeah.
And then within the motion also, should we say like based on the amended application, since we don't have a written copy of the amended application, also just for clarity?
Probably if we leave that sentence out of there, I guess it could be, if to approve the amended application for a variance to increase the restriction of the amount of steep slopes that may be disturbed and describe an application material.
That's good language, Chad.
They don't have to be unanimous, so.
Okay, so what's our conditions? What are we gonna do on the conditions? Can we come to that? Are we are we getting rid of all these minus what number was?
Like number 3, and then add max 40%.
Maximum allowed disturbance of slopes between 15 and 30% will be no more than 40%.
Thank you.
So that gives you 2 conditions. Stormwater erosion control plan prepared. And then, condition number 2, the amount of disturbance that you are allowed.
That'd be you.
Relative to the percentages,
Okay.
or excuse me, relative to slopes between 15 and 30, as well as 30 and greater.
I'll read the
Okay.
motion. Okay, we're gonna have 2 conditions. Okay, sorry.
So encourage conversation.
Okay,
Good for 1 and 2, just erase them. Get rid of 2, 3, and 4 now. And we're gonna write a new number 2. Maximum disturbance of slopes, 30% grade. Am I correct in that language, Elise?
30% or greater, yes, the other one probably should say 15 and less than 30%.
Maximum disturbance of slopes, 30% or greater, shall not exceed 40%. And maximum disturbance of slopes between 15 and 30% shall not exceed 40%.
and we only have 2 conditions?
Yes.
Number 3, right?
So now I'm gonna
I just don't
march.
want to ignore your concerns, that's all. So,
Crystal, do you have one that you need to express or particular concern?
Just on other comment on number 2, I don't feel like that's really specific to the road only, just in general. And so that was where I was struggling. is that, I'm gonna take into consideration any of that, but don't know that it is only against, about the road.
Okay. Sorry, I'm getting there.
I'm gonna take something into consideration.
You guys have concern specific to this,
So-
number 2 on this letter?
The findings, the reason and the rationale relative to number 4,
Mhm.
Marge, will you read, finding number 4, back for, Crystal, sorry.
Oh, I meant
The conditions?
No, the variance,
number 4.
the finding number 4.
Okay. The topography and the shape of the, sorry, this is based on the topography and the shape of the platted lots. The existing draining easement limits the developable areas, and approximately 80% of the property is steeper than 15% slope.
So your concern, Crystal, relative to that language and that finding, does that satisfy your concern relative to item number 2? Okay.
Are you more concerned with this statement here? Sentence? Or just in general, the statement of the architecture?
Well, no, I think it is. Just- It's not.
And, I. That's a tough one, but I don't know if we can force it to do that. If it was an agency, we can't, but, you know what I mean? So are you good, like, for, I know you're not 100% good, but are you good enough that we can move on, or do you wanna keep talking?
You can vote any way you want.
Right, go ahead.
Yep, you know that.
Okay,
You ready?
I think we're ready then, yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna read the motion. Based on the record and discussion this evening, I move to approve the amended request by Wyatt Radke for a variance to increase the restriction of amount of steep slopes that may be disturbed as described in the application materials, as supplemented and with additional information attached in the staff report, according to testimony received, and to adopt the proposed findings and order for signature by the chair or vice chair with 2 conditions. Marge, if you'd read those for us.
Marge, could you read the conditions, please?
Okay. Condition 1, applicant shall submit and implement a stormwater/erosion control plan prepared by a licensed engineer and approved by the county engineer prior to any land disturbance. 2, maximum disturbance of slopes 30% or greater shall not exceed 40%, and maximum disturbance of slopes between 15% and 30% shall not exceed 40%.
Second, okay, we have a motion, we have a second.
I said the motion.
Oh. Second.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Stuart Ward,
Yes.
Chad Selenite,
Yes.
Molly Dimmitt,
Yes.
Crystal Maxon.
No.
Okay. Motion carries 3-1. Okay.
Thanks,
you.
guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate what you do.
See y'all.
We need a motion to close the public hearing.
I will give a motion to close the public hearing.
Okay, got a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Yeah,
Okay,
thanks. Thank you all, appreciate it.
thank you. Okay. Our next, so that's all the public hearing items, we've got 2 business items. The next one is number 9, that's the meeting, so I'm gonna step down. And Chad, you wanna take this one again?
Yeah, we're not public meetings, so I don't know what I do. Well, we're being,
It'll be a little easier.
easier. This one, I've seen this one before, we've seen it twice.
Oh, it's a business item, I don't even have to do a presentation.
You don't if you want to.
I don't want to, I just need to stand up. So just stand.
Who made the motion for this last one?
Chad did.
And who seconded?
Molly.
Do you want me to present anything?
Just some staff recommendations that were on here. We've seen this project a couple times, I believe. I remember at least once before.
This is preliminary class, so you've seen it once
Before.
for concept, yeah.
Yeah, gotcha. I guess just the conditions that staff, gave here, did you read those?
Yes. The 3,
Yeah.
yeah, not a problem. I do have comments from the fire district. For some reason, I received them before I submitted that, I never submitted them, so I'll get them to you, when we submit final plat. But then, the fire district didn't have any concerns.
Gotcha, yeah, no concern. And then the CCNRs, I don't know if there's even.
I need to do a little bit more research on that, but those 2 conditions aren't an issue.
Just have to do some research on it.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So the council's aware, police officer subdivision planner, the plat was an old enough plat that they didn't have CCNRs referenced on the plat. So the surveyor is gonna have to do a little bit of research to see if CCNRs were created some other form,
Yeah, gotcha.
which is why condition 2 references potentially condition 3 if they find anything.
If they find it, they just gotta do some digging, basically. Yeah. Okay. That's all I have on it. Molly, you anything? Crystal? Anything you wanna add or anything, Stuart?
No.
Yeah. Gonna find findings. Yeah, we've seen this one before. In the concept, right, so this is preliminary. So I just the three conditions for the staff, or nothing's really changed, you know? We'll get there eventually.
Fine. 228, right?
49, I think.
Is that where we're at?
I'm like technically not too sure, so I'm sure there's an easy way to what I'm doing. Yeah, but I don't know what number it is. Oh, I got 3 pages away from it. Okay, criteria for approval. We ready for this? You can pull up those, the three,
Conditions.
yeah, just so we've got the records. The preliminary plat is in conformance with the Bannock County Planning and Development Council's approved concept plan. All applicable provisions of the Bannock County subdivision ordinance, other county codes and ordinances, and Idaho code. I guess I would say it is in conformance because not much has changed, but I don't know what the recommendations from the staff were last time, but I'm sure they've been met because they're not on the concept, don't complicate them. Yeah. How does that work? So.
I guess that could be a question for staff.
Yeah.
How do we confirm that the
The-
previous round
the
of conditions were
conditions-
met?
The conditions were met all except for the fire district one, and if you place that condition again, then it will supersede it because it's being placed at final plat at that point.
Gotcha, okay.
Thank you.
So the preliminary plat is in conformance. All conditions at concept have been met, let alone the fire districts, how we word that.
With the exception of
Of-
the fire district condition, which will be a condition
Yeah,
added to
be
this motion. Does that work?
Yeah.
Or will be carried forward to
Be
this
addressed at
motion?
the final plat.
Hopefully Marge has a wordsmith.
She's been saying this all right.
The final plat providing meet written comment requirements from Pocatello Valley Fire District.
Condition, what number?
Condition 1
Of the staff report?
of the staff report, yeah. Is that all you want?
Yeah.
Puts me off camera.
And there's snacks over there.
There was.
There was.
Okay, this is what I have,
Uh-huh.
Chad.
Yeah,
This is what I have. The preliminary plat is in conformance and all conditions have been met, with the exception of condition 1 of the staff report.
yeah, that will come up quite shortly here. Yeah, that's good. Okay, number 2, the street plan for the proposed subdivision will permit its development in accordance with the Bannock County subdivision ordinance. Street plan has not changed from the concept. That work?
Road currently exists.
Road currently exists.
And
Street
it's
plan
not-
from concept has not changed, or
It's
existing
not
road.
intended to be modified.
Yeah,
No.
there you go.
No additional approaches.
Yeah, no, it's not intended to be modified.
So I have the street plan has not changed from concept. The road currently exists and not intended to be modified.
That sounds great. Probably have a copy and paste on this one. Number 3, the street plan for the proposed subdivision will permit the development of adjoining land by providing access to that land by right-of-way dedicated to the county or a developed street to the property boundary.
So the same as number 2?
I think if that works, I think that is.
Okay,
Okay. Number 4, lot lines and roads do relate to land shapes and existing development. once again, lot lines and roads have not changed from concept, and that's it, I guess.
Okay,
And then conditions, I can just use the three from staff recommendations. You're good with those, right? I have all three of them in there. I'll just read them. Conditions, this is staff recommendations. Number 1, at final plat, provide and meet written comment requirements from Pocatello Valley Fire District. If no comments are received, the applicant shall submit proof of at least 2 contact attempts. Number 2, developer to research if there are any CCNRs imposed on the existing lots. If existing CCNRs are imposed on the lots, condition 3 is required. Number 3, as no CCNRs were proposed by the developer, the CCNRs from Cinnamon Springs subdivision, updated to reflect the name of the new subdivision, shall be the CCNRs used on this plat.
And number 4, the condition we're carrying forward.
That's number 1 on here, because that's, yeah,
Sorry.
it's all right.
Be more careful.
I understand. That's right, right? Number 1, that's the one being carried from.
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay. I guess we need to do
Are we ready
motion.
for a second?
You want to do the motion this time?
Sure. Ready for a motion?
You got it, Marge?
Based on the record and discussion this evening, I move to approve the request for the preliminary plat of Chestnut Hill subdivision as described in the application materials as supplemented with additional information attached in the staff report, and to adopt the proposed findings in order for signature by the chair or vice chair, with the conditions as stated in the staff report.
I'll second that.
Okay.
We good, do we need to read them out again, the conditions?
do you want me to read it?
Do we have to?
Do we have to read out the
I
conditions?
would read it as part of the motion.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, condition 1, at final plat, provide and meet written comments requirements from Pocatello Valley Fire District. If no comments are received, the applicant shall submit proof of at least 2 contact attempts. 2, developer to research if there are any CCNRs imposed on the existing lots. If existing CCNRs are imposed on the lots, condition 3 is required. 3, as no CCNRs were proposed by the developer, the CCNRs from Cinnamon Springs subdivision, updated to reflect the name of the new subdivision, shall be the CCNRs used on this plat.
Thank you.
Need a second.
I'll second it again.
Oh,
Sorry.
I did it before the sorry.
And then we need a roll call.
Crystal Munson,
Yeah.
Molly Dimick,
Yes.
Chad Selenite.
Yes. 3-0 vote. Off to the next one.
Okay, next business item is a variance extension request. So Dustin Holston requested extension to a lot size variance that was approved by the Planning and Development Council on June 18th, 2025.
I remember this one, so.
I remember it too, I just don't remember if all of us were there, or,
Yes.
We all were?
Well, I was.
Yeah.
yeah, looks like all 5 of us were there. This is the one down just east of Lava,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
along
Fish
Fish
Creek, on Fish Creek.
right on Fish Creek,
Yeah, I think he just ran out of time, that's good. And I
Yeah.
thought that he had filed for an extension before the date.
Yeah, cause it doesn't expire till December 15th.
Yeah.
And so, since we're 2 months before that, it's obviously filed well ahead.
Before,
And he even provided a letter stating why, so.
yeah, he had some weather and personal reasons or something like that.
Yeah. And there's only one thing we gotta address on this one, and that is, did he file for the extension before the deadline?
Yeah, he did.
That's pretty easy, so.
What was the date of when he filed for the extension?
September, I think.
September
It was in
8th.
September.
That's why.
His letter is September 8th. Yeah.
So does the variance cover from now until start of construction or now to completion of construction?
Yeah, till.
Start of
till
a
his
permit issued and
Yeah.
started.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I was thinking June of 26 still might not be enough time, but that's helpful that
Yeah.
it's start and permit.
Yeah,
Thank you.
which typically variances are that way. The expiration, if they pull a permit before the expiration, that's considered active
Yes.
activity, and then the variance doesn't expire.
Okay.
But this is his one and only variance of extension, is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
So if for some reason he can't get it done by June, he's gotta come back.
Or at least a whole permit.
The whole permit,
Whole
yeah,
permit.
for some reason, if something happens, he's gotta come back and start the project over again, so.
Thank you.
Okay. So it was filed, yeah, so, so the proposed, I'm just gonna jump into it. The
Yeah.
proposal for extension was filed with the Planning and Development Council prior to the expiration date, and request, well, I don't know, do we have to base it on anything, do we? Do I have to
I
put
was
a,
gonna say, his letter for an extension was requested September 8th, or whatever.
September 8th,
I already have it,
2025?
Marge already has it, Stuart.
I just put yes.
She wants to go home, it sounds like.
Just want to make a motion?
I have
We can make a
yes,
motion,
his
yeah.
request was submitted prior to the expiration date.
Perfect.
Perfect, okay, I'm in motion. Based on the record and discussion this evening, I move to approve the request for variance extension for Dustin Holston as described in the application materials as supplemented with additional information attached in the staff report according to testimony received, and to adopt the proposed findings for order for signature by the chair or vice chair.
Okay.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Stuart Ward,
Yes.
Molly Demick,
Yes.
Chad Zellene,
Yes.
Crystal Mattson.
Yes.
Passes 4-0. Okay.
We're still up there.
Now, next item is what? Items of interest, if any.
You take it, would you?
I can do it. Tristan Borkwood, Assistant Planning Director. I don't believe there's been any updates on any recommendations that you've sent to commissioners in the last couple of months. For upcoming hearing items, we currently have 3. There are 2 conditional use permits out in Lava and 1 variance for a riparian area setback. And
Is it
that-
okay to continue our cleaning? Okay, I just didn't want to interrupt you guys too much, so. All right, thank you guys.
And that's it for items of interest.
Tristan, will you just brief the council on what we've done Monday and then tomorrow night and maybe perhaps things moving forward
Yes.
relative to the ordinance?
Yes, so we are working right now on an ordinance rewrite. We started with public outreach, we've had a survey up and going for the last 5-6 weeks. It will close at the end of this week. And then we did an open house on Monday in Downey. We had 55 people attend, approximately. Trying to keep count of everybody was difficult, but so approximately 55 people. And then we have one tomorrow here in this room from 5 to 7.
So do red lines to the ordinance begin after this information collection phase?
So
Or
what we
feedback?
did, what we found through the comprehensive plan open houses, we tried to just give people the whole comprehensive plan document and say, hey, give us feedback. And we found that was quite a bit for people to digest. So we actually have a first draft of the ordinance already written. And instead, for this round, we created posters outlining the main changes to the ordinance and asked people to vote, do you like this or do you not like this? So that we could gather feedback on the main changes, and then we will go back, do some more editing, and then at that point, it'll probably go to work session for council and commission to get comments from both groups at the same time, do another draft, and then start the public hearing process.
Okay, so after the work session with us and the commissioners, then a red line becomes available for
Yes.
public review?
Correct.
Do you have any idea kind of what the schedule looks like over the winter for all those?
Yeah, so the hope is probably, a public hearing with council either January or February, and then public hearing with commission February or March.
So you're thinking the work session with commissioners is December,
Yeah,
probably?
yeah.
How
And then
many
probably
public
work
hearings
session
are-
with you January,
How many public meetings? Is it just the two?
just the 2.
Okay. Okay, sweet.
Do you think based on feedback you've gotten so far that more edits will occur, or do you still need to
Yeah.
digest?
Yeah, I think there are definitely going to be some edits that we'll need to look at. So a lot of it was, the votes were 50-50 on a lot of the stuff, so we'll have to deliberate. We also did a comment box so that people could just write down stuff, and we haven't looked at that at all from Monday. So that might provide us a little more information of why the votes were 50-50 on everything, and then we can evaluate from there.
Thank you.
Anything else on, any other questions on ordinance stuff? I'm just excited that we're this far along. I have to tell you that. So I commend you for all your work. Okay, we're gonna skip agenda number 12 because there's no citizens here to comment. Are we doing the work session for the council meeting schedule?
Yeah, just a quick, we don't have to be here and discuss it, but just over the next month, start thinking about what you want the schedule to look like. Do you like it the way it is? Do you want an earlier start time? Do you want a later start time? Do Wednesdays not work anymore? That's all up to the board to determine what that schedule looks like, so just be thinking about your schedules and your ideas over the next month, and then we can start solidifying stuff in November.
Okay. So do you need,
But doesn't that calendar need to be adopted by the council in the November meeting?
No, so we have January's meeting already adopted this year.
for launch games,
So we can push it, we typically try to do it in November, but we can push it to January if we need to, because January's is already set.
Okay. So if we have concerns or comments, ideally, we would let you know by November or
Yeah.
at the meeting.
Yes, yep, and I'll probably draft just what it would look like based on what we've been doing to present at the November meeting, and then you guys can discuss and adjust
Okay.
next month.
I
Unless
guess
you
my
wanna
own-
do it now.
My
I mean,
only
you can.
comment would be, I know last year, or this 25, we didn't have any additional meetings scheduled, but in 24, there were, if I remember right, even though we didn't use them all.
It was
But there were
about
some-
2 years ago was when we had
Was it
a
2
couple
years
of
ago?
months that were busy enough that we had 2 meetings.
I don't know if that's maybe something we should look at again, just in case, but I don't know for sure, I just know what my workload is looking like, and others that I've talked to, it seems like it might be beneficial.
Okay.
So,
We did, I believe we did 4 months, we did June, July, August, and September with a second meeting in
Yeah.
those 4 months.
yeah,
And we have them scheduled, should we need to utilize them, rather than call a special meeting. So that's why we chose to do what we did.
right.
Okay.
And I don't know if it's beneficial, I mean, tonight's really not that bad, but if that CUP was tonight, we'd be here for another 4 hours, so.
And it
Is that one that we expect to see
It
next
is
month?
one that we will be hearing in November, and the meeting will be at the courthouse next month, not here.
Because of the CUPs.
And then one last question from me to Tristan. When we send out the packet for next month and you give them a potential calendar, should they like it, can they act on that calendar in November?
Why not?
Because it will be part of a work session and you can't make action
Oh.
on any work session items. If you want me to put it on as preliminary business, then you can make action on it.
I'm good with, as far as the schedule, I'm just making more money, so I'll make whatever work, that's how we're gonna.
Okay.
What time works great for me?
Me too.
I'm good either way.
Okay, I can
The
just draft it
15's a
up
little
as-
weird, but it's not the end of the world.
I can have 5.
Oh, so you're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
I
kinda
have
allows
to
other
leave,
people
I
to
have to
get
leave
here.
work early to get here. But it's not a big deal, so I think if you wanna put something together and put it at preliminary, cause if we had too much discussion, we can always postpone it to the next meeting too, right?
Correct.
So, that's what I was just,
Gotcha, yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay, I can do that.
okay. Perfect. I think that's it, so meeting adjourned.